one of the most important rules that we're going to use in sketching straight line graphs is this one here. Y equals to mx plus c. This rule gives us a lot of information about our graph. It gives us the gradient and it gives us the y-intercept. The m, the bit in front of the x, is always going to be your gradient. And the value that stands alone at the end, sometimes it's at the beginning, but most of the time it's at the end, is your y-intercept. What is your y-intercept? Your y-intercept is where it cuts the y-axis, where it crosses the y-axis. And of course, we've already spoken about gradient. Gradient is going to be the slope of the graph. So the bigger the m value, the steeper the slope. Previously, we've already spoken about special lines that are vertical or horizontal because we spoke about them in terms of the gradient, which I'm referring to these two here. So when we have a zero gradient, we have a horizontal line. If we have no gradient, so if it's undefined, we end up with a vertical line. So we're going to take a look at some examples of them in the next couple of examples that we do. And of course, if a line passes purely through the origin, it means our y-intercept is 0. So in this particular case, you won't have a c at the end of your equation. But all of this is going to be revealed in the next couple of questions. In this example, we're asked to state the gradient and the y-intercept for these two equations. Now, fortunately, they are in the right format for us. Y equals mx plus c. Remember, the gradient is in front of the x value. The c is by itself. So in this first one, for a, the gradient is equal to 3. Okay, let's jump down here to the y-intercept for a, and the y-intercept, which we call c, is equal to 4. Now, if I write that as a coordinate, the y-intercept is always where it crosses the y-axis, and your x value is 0. So that would be 0, 4. What about the next equation there? The next equation, y equal to minus 3/4 x minus 7. Well, again, the m value or the gradient is in front of the x. So m is equal to minus 3 on 4. What is the y-intercept for that one? Well, it's the bit at the end. Now, don't forget that negative value. So it is a negative 7. And as a coordinate, it is 0, negative 7. This next example asks us to sketch the graph of y equals 3x plus 2 by considering the y-intercept and the gradient. So this is one method, one way we can sketch a straight line. Now, we always need to remember, in order to draw a straight line, we need to have 2 points. That's really important. We must have 2 points so that we can draw the line through it. So where are we going to get our 2 points from? Well, let's start with the fact that our y-intercept is 2. We read that from our graph. So that is the coordinate. When x is 0, y is 2. When x is 0, y is 2 is there on my graph. 0, 2. Okay, now what we're going to do is use our gradient to move us around to the next point. Well, our gradient here is 3. And it's better if we write our gradient as a fraction. So what is 3 as a fraction? It is 3 over 1. All right, so now this means that because it's a positive 3, you're going up. And because it's a positive 1, you're going across. Because remember, rise over run, y's over x's. So this tells me that from this point 0, 2, I'm going to go up 3 places. 1, 2, 3. And I have to go across 1 place. And that's where my next point is. What is that coordinate? Well, it's when x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 5. And of course the last step there is to draw my line through my 2 points. So that is the line y is equal to 3x plus 2. So using the y-intercept and the gradient to sketch my straight line. These graphs in this example are examples of our special graphs. These are vertical, horizontal lines and ones that go through the origin only. So let's take it bit by bit and look at the first one there. This is the graph of y equal to 2. Now where is y equal to 2 on this axis? It is up here. Okay, and that means that all my y values must be equal to 2. So that is going to be a horizontal line that just goes through 2. Remember, a horizontal line has a zero gradient, and it just goes through the y value of 2 in this case. What about our next one? X is equal to minus 3. Where is that on my axis? It is over here. And it's saying that x will always be equal to minus 3. We don't care what the y values are, but because it's just going through x equal to minus 3, okay, it is a vertical line, and a vertical line has no gradient. So the gradient is undefined there. So really, anywhere along that line, I could pick a point. So I might pick that point there, and my x value has to be minus 3. But what was my y value there? So it was minus 3, and my y value was 3. So anywhere along that line, my x value should be negative 3. Now this last one, y equal to minus 2x. Well, you can see straight away I've got no y-intercept. So c is equal to 0. 0, 0 is my coordinate there. 0, 0. All right, and I've got a gradient of minus 2. Let me write that as a fraction. Minus 2 over 1. Which means because it's minus 2, I'm going down 2 places and positive 1 across 1 place. So when I put that onto my graph, I go down 2 places from 0, so 1, 2, and across 2, this point here, because I'm going across 1. Now what is that coordinate? Well, it's when x is equal to 1, y is equal to negative 2. And you can see straight away there that I've got 2 points now that I can just draw my line through to get my graph.